Hi, this is an IELTS native speaking exam simulation. My name is Hope Beale from Study in Australia TV. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Sophie Barlow.
Part 1. What would you suggest visitors see and do in your country?
There's so many things to see and do here in Australia. One of the main tourist attractions is the Great Barrier Reef. So it's actually dying at the moment, so we've got lots of great conservation people up there. We've got lots of great programs as well that you can go and learn about the reef, learn how to save it, and you can also just experience the beautiful reef itself. There's lots of little islands sort of around up north as well that you can stay at if you want to extend your trip to an overnight trip or a couple of days or something like that. The weather's really beautiful, so you can always go and enjoy the beach, go out on the boats and really, really experience Australia and see our beautiful coastline and our reef as well. Moving across, you can go to Uluru in the Northern Territory. So that's a great big rock in the middle of the desert. It's got a lot of Australian tradition as well. So you can learn about the bush and the different way of life sort of up there. And it's a good contrast between the beach and the bush in Australia. I've got some beautiful coastlines along the west there. So there's lots of beaches. The people are really friendly. Really relaxed lifestyle, can really relax and get into the Aussie way of life. And then you've got your Opera House and your Harbour Bridge over in Sydney, which is really touristy, really pretty. It's a very, very pretty area down there. You've got the lovely water, lovely buildings, sort of history down there as well. You can do history tours. You can even climb the bridge if you're not afraid of heights, and you can experience Sydney as well. But one of my favourite things to do is to go along the Great Ocean Road in Victoria and experience all the little towns along there. Again, we've got the beautiful coastline too. It's a real surfy type of town, so nice and relaxed. People are lovely, and you can really take your time and experience the little towns along there. And then if you've still got time, you can go down to Tasmania. We've got Hobart, which is a really beautiful city, especially in the winter time. It's a little chilly, but it's very scenic and lots of beautiful old buildings. There's actually a lot to do in Tasmania as well. So yeah, lots of things to see and do here.
And are there any traditional arts or music that you would recommend as well?
Yeah, we've got a lot of traditional arts and music here in Australia. One artist who's very popular at the moment is called Tones and I. So she actually used to busk down in Byron Bay, up on the border of New South Wales there. And yeah, now she's international as well. So she just came from a little town in Australia, and we've got plenty of artists like that as well. We've always got local gigs and local talent shows and things like that, so you can check out our Aussie artists. And in terms of art, we've got a lot of Indigenous art as well if you wanted to see the more history side, and we've got a lot of local artists down in the National Gallery of Victoria. Everything's displayed and they do really good exhibits as well. So yeah, there's lots in that area too.
Yeah. So tell me about the kinds of foreign visitors or tourists that come here to Australia.
We get a lot of tourists in Australia, which is great. It's a great way to keep our multiculturalism growing, and to learn about parts of the world and to show off our country as well. So we've got plenty of people from New Zealand, from China, and from the US as well. So they have introduced lots of yummy food, lots of music as well, and just lots of different ways of life. So you can kind of, depending on where you go in Australia, especially in Melbourne, there's lots of little pockets that are more sort of rich in Italian culture, so you can experience that. And then we've got pretty much everything as well, so in terms of food, in terms of culture, and in terms of tourist, we've got a lot in Australia.
Brilliant. And in what ways do you think tourism has changed in Australia?
I think it's grown in Australia. I think people are starting to find out more about us now and are coming to visit. And I think the tourists are bringing a little part of their culture and their home hometown as well. Like I said, in terms of the food, there's lots of like good homestays that you can do as well. So not only are people learning about Australia, but we're continuing to grow our worldwide knowledge of food and culture as well.
Beautiful. We'll now move on to part 2. You will have 1 minute to write some notes about a memorable event in your life. You should say things like when it happened, where it happened, and why it was so memorable to you. So here's a piece of paper for you to write some notes.
Thank you.
All right, your time is up. Brilliant. So please describe a memorable event in your life.
A memorable event that happened in my life would probably be when I moved out of home for the first time. So I actually moved interstate on my own with no family or friends or anything like that. I moved up there for work, so it was more of a career opportunity. So it was a really great opportunity to grow and to learn and actually still use a lot of those skills that I learnt up there now, like 4 or 5 years later. So it was really great. Learnt a lot about myself and a lot about Australia as well, because I moved to a slightly warmer climate and a different lifestyle too. So it was a bit of an adjustment at the start. But once I got used to it, everyone was really friendly and I created lots of good memories and lots of funny memories and crazy things happened. Like even just getting the groceries was a bit of a mission because I didn't realise that the place I was renting was so far out of town. So it was a big long walk, like along a beach, so it was quite nice. But it was a big long walk just to get a few groceries. But that's okay, it kept me fit, and I didn't have a car at the time either, so it was my only option. But kept me fit and got to see a lot of the little town, I guess. And yeah, like I said, I learnt so much that I wouldn't have learnt if I hadn't have been there on my own. I just had to figure things out for myself, which is scary, but a really great way to learn, and you sort of remember things more when you have to figure them out for yourself. And yeah, I grew up really quickly and cooking, cleaning, the basic sort of things, even just about myself as well, like things that my mum would usually do for me. She obviously wasn't there. So like the washing, household things, yeah, just bits and pieces like that, things that you don't know that your mum does, if that makes sense, and you don't know you have to do until you have to do them yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll now move on to part 3.
Sure.
So, what important ceremonies do we have here?
We've got lots of important ceremonies here. We quite often do a ceremony for big events like a wedding or a big family event or things like that. So it's a really great way to celebrate the event and to keep the memory alive throughout your family. It adds to the tradition of your family and to your own culture and your own personal family's history as well. So yeah, they're quite popular over here, whether it be religious or a big family event. Ceremonies are quite popular.
Absolutely. And do you have any specific family events that you yourself celebrate?
We've had a few weddings over the past couple of years. My brother and his girlfriend his wife now, just got married. So yeah, that was a really nice day. They kept it quite simple. It was out at the Yarra Valley in Victoria. So it was a really pretty day, really picturesque. They had a lovely time, and yeah, we've got memories to talk to the generations below us about now, and memories that go with the pictures and stories to tell too. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so do you see the role of private and public ceremonies changing in the future?
I don't really see them changing in the future, no. I think people, and my family specifically as well, our ceremonies and our traditions are quite important to us. For example, we always do Christmas the same way. It's been the same way since I was little, so for like 25 years or so. And even with the new additions, my brother's wife, and new additions along the way, we've tried to keep it as traditional and as close to how it has been in the past as possible. So I think a lot of people are like that as well, and especially if it's religious based, it's quite important that it happens the same time every year, the same way every year, or whatever the case is. And I think people are really proud and really excited to share their own traditions, their own cultural traditions and family ceremonies as well. So if anything, I can see it growing and expanding, and yeah, I can't see it changing.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So do you think that attitudes towards marriage have changed over the years?
Yeah, definitely. I think traditionally it was always between a man and a woman, and that was it. But now it's grown. The idea has been broadened, and people have opened their mind a little bit more. So now it's between whoever, really. Love is love, we say it here. So anyone can get married, and it's more about the celebration of love rather than your traditional man and wife. Not everyone thinks that way, but I think slowly we are sort of becoming that way as a country. So it's really exciting and very inclusive now. Yeah, it was only
Absolutely.
recently, but it's a good addition in my opinion.
Yeah, of course. So what ways do you think that men and women differ in the way that they celebrate marriages?
I think they both love a celebration, and they both love to celebrate the idea of getting married. I think for the women, it's more about, the dress, the hair, the makeup, all that sort of thing. For the guys, they're just happy to go along with it as long as the wife's happy, and just have a really nice time with their close friends and family, and yeah, create new traditions and memories as well.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm sure that, you yourself have thought about your wedding being a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, yeah, it sort of just pops into your mind every now and again. You see your friends' weddings and you see your family's weddings, and you're like, oh, I'll take a little bit from here and there. So yeah.
Beautiful. And so moving on to events, what sort of national events have made headlines in your country?
So the national events that make headlines here in Australia, we've got the Grand Prix. So the Formula One, it's a big event. It happens, I believe, around February every year. So we get all the Formula One races out, and it's a great big race throughout the Albert Park racetrack. And another event is the Australian Open. So that one is tennis based, and that one goes for a couple of weeks as well. That one's really popular because the weather's really nice around that time of year as well. So it's a great way to bring tourists to the country, and for the locals to get to see international players as well. And then we also have Anzac Day and Australia Day as days of celebration too.
Beautiful. And do you do anything special for, say, Anzac Day or Australia Day?
Yeah, we usually do. Like I said, my family's quite traditional in that sense. So we always get up at the crack of dawn, and we go to the dawn service and pay our respects, light a candle, and have a nice brekkie. So yeah, it's very simple, but very, very important. It's a good day.
Awesome. And so do you think that the media in your country focuses more on national events such as Anzac Day, or more global events?
Maybe a little bit more on national events. Maybe a little bit more on global events. I think if something's happening globally, we definitely hear about it here in Australia. We're definitely very informed of what's happening overseas. And I think it sort of influences our national news a little bit as well, gets us thinking on what we're doing in Australia in relation to that particular event overseas. The global news affects and influences the national news a little bit as well. If something is happening nationally, we're definitely informed, and it's definitely covered all over the media too. But I think slightly more global issues are covered a little bit more.
This concludes the IELTS Native Speaking Exam Simulation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.